Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ Live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. We are coming off Smackdown Live. Hell in a Cell is less than 2 years. 2 years, well, I already screwed up this video. Less than 2 weeks away on the WWE Network for just $9.99. Thank you to everyone watching live or on demand. I appreciate your viewership as always. So let's go ahead and get to the review of SmackDown Live. The show kicked off with Brie Mode. Yes, the Brie Mode music. Why? Why must WWE torture me? Nelson Moreno with a $2 super chat donation. What's up, Aaron? What's up? Speaking of what's up, we had a very interesting main event on this week's SmackDown Live, which I will get to shortly. Caleb Jacobs with a $2.18 super chat donation. Stay on topic. Thank you for that, Caleb. Much appreciated. We had the Brie Mode music kick off SmackDown, and because of that, I cannot give SmackDown Live an A+. Not that I was going to anyways, but as soon as I hear Brie Mode, that is just like an automatic point down. So if I was going to give the show an A+, it automatically goes to just an A. Or if I was going to give the show a C+, it would go to just a C. Ken Terminated by Google with a $2 super chat donation. Are you going to take ibuprofen when you hear Brie Mode? No, I would have to hear it multiple times to really have a bad migraine. If I can hear it once, I just shake my head and try to drown it out, and then once it's done with, I move on. We had Daniel Bryan come out with Brie, so apparently they start off with Brie Mode, and then Daniel Bryan comes out. Aaron Joel with a $2 super chat donation. Greetings from Australia. It's an F, damn it. I hope you're not talking about SmackDown. I would not give this show an F. I really hope you weren't talking about SmackDown. Big G with a $2 super chat donation. Stop hating on Brie Mode. I will try, but she needs new music. First of all, I'm not a fan of the catchphrase Brie Mode to begin with, because on Total Divas, it's basically her just getting plastered, totally drunk out of her mind. And I'm not sure that's really something that you should be really celebrating and marketing towards young women. Just my opinion, though. Caitlin's here, so I gotta watch my P's and Q's when I talk about the Bellas. But I'm not a fan of marketing a phrase which is used to talk about somebody when they're drinking heavily. Just my opinion on it. How's it going, Andre, in the chat room? Thank you for being part of tonight's NoDQ Live. So we had Renee Young interviewing Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, and Renee showed footage from earlier on the show, I guess before SmackDown actually began, maybe a couple of hours beforehand. Apparently this footage was up on WWE's social media. I did not see it, of course, because I don't really pay that much attention to WWE's social media, except for when they have breaking news, and they like to announce the breaking news during NoDQ Live lately, it seems. Apparently there are 2 more Super Show matches which were just announced. Maybe somebody in the chat room can bring that up. I think Big G said something, but I must have missed it in the chat room. We had the footage shown of The Miz and Maurice in the empty arena before SmackDown, calling out Bryan and Brie, but of course Bryan and Brie were not in the building yet, so apparently they just have a tendency to be tardy, and The Miz and Maurice are on time. Not sure how this makes Bryan and Brie more baby faces and Miz and Maurice more heels. Wouldn't you cheer for the people that show up early to work? I don't know, but that's beside the point. Maybe they had car trouble or something. Maybe they had some kind of issue. I don't know. I'm not sure if anything was brought up regarding why Bryan and Brie were late, but that's too much thought. And WWE, they don't want to do too much thinking as far as creativity goes, so they just had not arrived in the building yet. Caleb Jacobs with a $2 super chat donation, or excuse me, $2.01 super chat donation. The Miz and Maurice are cowards. Current topic, LOL. Yes, they are cowards because they called out Bryan and Brie when they were not in the building yet. Then we had Andrade, Cien Almas, and Zelina Vega come out, and they wanted to settle the unfinished business from last week's show, which led to another match, a rematch from last week, Daniel Bryan versus Andrade, Cien Almas again, which is fine. You know, I like seeing them wrestle, but I just don't like the pattern of constantly doing rematches week after week after week. It's just a general pattern that I'm not a fan of. Now, the match itself was fine. Daniel Bryan did pick up the clean win this time over Almas. So there you go. I figured last week Bryan would just beat him and that would be the end of it. But this week, they dragged it out a week, and this week Bryan won with the flying knee. Then we had The Miz and Maurice appear on the big screen, and they were apparently at some fancy schmancy restaurant, some Italian restaurant, and they closed down the whole restaurant because they don't want any annoying fans from Detroit bugging them. So nice little cheap heat by The Miz, and they said they were going to stay there the whole night. That led to Bryan and Brie getting in the backstage area, getting their stuff together, and leaving the building because they were hungry and they wanted to go get dinner. And Bryan's like, hopefully there's no dress code, as he's standing there all sweaty in his tights. So we had a little bit of comedy here. It was fine. I was disappointed, actually, because I was hoping we were actually going to see Bryan and Brie show up at the restaurant and they'd have a huge brawl in this empty restaurant. That's where I thought this was going, because Miz said they shut down the restaurant. So I thought, oh, they're going to have a crazy brawl in the restaurant, throw each other around the tables, throw food at each other. So I'm a little bummed out that did not happen. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. No food fight in the restaurant. I'm a little bummed out about that. I would have liked to have seen that. TK says, I was hoping for a food fight. All right, moving on here. So next segment we had, actually before I get to that, Mike B with a $5 super chat donation. I apologize for going off topic, but Aaron Rift and NoDQ both effing rock, the best in the world at what you do. Thank you for that, Mike B. Much appreciated. You are awesome. Mike B is the man. All right, next up we had Naomi versus Peyton Royce, and I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't WWE just do this match last week? Again, it's the same thing, doing the rematches over and over again. That gets a little bit tiresome. And we did have 50-50 booking here. Naomi got her win back finally after losing 2 weeks in a row. After the match, she got attacked by both of them. This led to Asuka finally returning to television and making the save for Naomi. So it looks like it's going to be Asuka and Naomi against the Iconics at some point, maybe on the Hell in a Cell kickoff, knowing how things go for people like Asuka that were one time taken very seriously. Would not shock me at all if Asuka ends up on the Hell in a Cell kickoff teaming up with Naomi against the Iconics. Braden says Super Showdown. Did they announce it for the Super Showdown? Or did they announce it for... I know Big G said they announced 2 matches for the Super Showdown. Big G with a $2 Super Chat donation. Peyton was 2 weeks ago and Billy was last week. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Same thing, pretty much. Anyways, let's move on here to the next segment, which was actually, first of all, I wanted to mention the Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch face-to-face, well, not really face-to-face, but just backstage interview with the two of them. They were actually in separate rooms. It was like a face-off type segment where you had the split screen and they were talking to each other, but not actually in the same room. And this was good. I enjoyed the delivery of both of them. Becky really did not act like a heel. She said she's tired of Charlotte, and you know, she ripped into Charlotte and saying that what did she say? Now I'm forgetting, but I know Charlotte brought up how they threw away Becky threw away the 5-year friendship, and Becky said she's going to take back her spot that Charlotte stole from her at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Good stuff here. I did enjoy this segment, and I think that this match should be one of the more interesting matches at Hell in a Cell. Apparently, it's not going to be inside the cell, despite a tease from Charlotte and Becky on social media. I think 3 would have been too much anyways, but there was a little tease on social media. But it looks like, based on the graphics, it's going to be a straight one-on-one match. So moving on here, next segment we had Samoa Joe come out, and Samoa Joe said that he was telling AJ Styles he was going to go down to Gainesville, Georgia to show up at the Styles house. But he only did that to play mind games. And Joe said AJ went home to be there with Wendy, and that's the only time that he actually goes home to be there for his family. But of course, Swerve, AJ Styles, showed up in the building, so he was not in Gainesville, Georgia. Apparently, he doesn't care about his family. This was a weird segment, so somehow AJ must have known that Joe did not go down to Gainesville and went to Detroit instead. So this was a little strange, but whatever. I'm not really feeling this storyline all that much. I feel like it's getting really cheesy at this point. But, you know, WWE has to be sports entertainment. They got to have some kind of story and soap opera here, which is fine when it's done well. But I feel like now it's kind of getting into that silly category now, where it's just becoming too over the top. AJ came out, of course, and they started fighting. And this was like a watered down pull apart brawl. So once again, another pull-apart brawl, but not really with the wrestlers, but rather you had the referees coming out trying to separate them. AJ Styles did a dive over the top, and then Paige came out and tried to calm AJ down. Alex Pershing with a $2 Super Chat donation. Where was the roster to pull them apart? Well, you see, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, even though AJ's the WWE Champion, it's a mid-card feud. It's going to be on the middle of the card, most likely, at Hell in a Cell. And I don't even think it's being billed as the top match on the SmackDown side. I think Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton is getting that billing. So, yeah, the locker room's not going to come out for this mid-card match. So, like I said, a watered-down, pull-apart brawl between the guys in the mid-card feud for the WWE title. If they were the main event, then you'd have the locker room come out. Ken terminated by Google with a $2 Super Chat donation. How did Joe injure his eye? I don't know. Probably he just took a stiff shot at a house show would be my guess. Virtue is here. How's it going, Virtue? Nelson Moreno with a $5 Super Chat donation. Do you see them fighting at the Styles house? Would make a cool segment. No, I think it was just meant to be mind games by Joe. I think a lot of us were expecting something like that, but nope. Just Joe coming out and then AJ realizing Joe was just playing mind games with him. I don't know. The whole thing was confusing to me, but whatever. We had a backstage segment, which was actually one of the funniest parts of the show. We had R-Truth looking for Carmella, and then he identified Maurice as Carmella. The Miz got pissed off. The Miz said, you were my tag team partner, 7 years ago? And that was the last time you were relevant. That was a great line by The Miz. This was a fun segment, and R-Truth was really funny here. This was one of those rare times where the WWE comedy actually works. R-Truth is funny just being this total goofball. coming out there at the Royal Rumble and setting up the ladder, climbing up the ladder, wanting to win the women's title from Carmella, and now trying to find Carmella and trying to have a match with her. Then he asks Carmella, first of all, he walks up to Carmella and doesn't identify her as Carmella, which was also funny. And then he referred to Maurice as the other Carmella. Great stuff here by R-Truth, but long story short, R-Truth wanted Carmella to accompany him to ringside in the main event against The Miz. So yes, R-Truth 2018 main eventing SmackDown Live. Interesting to see what the viewership is for this week's show, but like I said, this was entertaining stuff, and I'm okay with it because R-Truth did such a great job here. I did enjoy it. A bunch of people in the chat room are asking, is Carmella a face now? I don't know. That's another interesting question. It's possible that Carmella will go face if this team really catches on, which I think there's a good chance they will. And by the way, WWE is bringing back the Mixed Match Challenge coming up in a couple of weeks. I think the final will be during the TLC pay-per-view in December. And we have Carmella and R-Truth as one of the teams for this Mixed Match Challenge. Mike B with a $2 Super Chat donation. For a comedy character, R-Truth does an awesome job. I agree on that. And Nathan says Carmella is Monopoly money. And Splits says she's a tweener now, I guess. All right, let's move on here to the next segment, which was the second triple threat tag team match to determine the number one contenders. The winning team of this match will face The Bar next week, and then the winning team goes on to Hell in a Cell to face the New Day. By the way, no New Day on this show. No Shinsuke Nakamura on this show for the second week in a row. So Shinsuke is the United States champion, let's not forget about that, and he's nowhere to be found. No apparent match for the pay-per-view, nothing. No Shin, no United States champion on SmackDown Live. Big G with a $2 Super Chat donation. He says, I am going to rage tonight. I guess he's referring to the video he'll be doing with Virtue over on Virtue's Facebook page, NoDQ.com/Virtue. Somebody put AC in timeout, by the way. Check it out, guys. If you're watching this live, go over to NoDQ.com/Virtue. And if you're not watching this live, you're watching NoDQ Live on demand, head over to NoDQ.com. At some point, Virtue will post it. Or I'm sure you can find his video over at NoDQ.com/Virtue. All right, moving on here. So the triple threat tag team match, which I thought was a good match, and the finish I thought was going to be controversial no matter what. See, all three teams, I think, deserve better than what they're getting. But ultimately, somebody has to do the job, and it was Sanity that did the job in this match. And I know that definitely upset some people. But at the same time, if Sanity won, people would say, oh, Rusev Day's getting buried. Rusev is being buried by the company, and he went from being in the WWE title match to losing tag team number one contenders matches. So I could see the complaining regardless of which team won. One could argue Sanity needed the win more, and one could also argue that any television time is better than no television time. So different arguments about this, and I feel bad for the Usos. I mean, I feel bad for Sanity. I feel bad for the Usos. I feel like the tag team division could be utilized so much better right now instead of just these random tag team triple threat matches. Alex Pershing with a $2 Super Chat donation. The Usos need to go to Raw desperately. Well, I said this back in April when WWE did the shakeup. I'm like, hey, the Usos could definitely benefit from going to Raw, and nothing happened. I said Balor could benefit from going to SmackDown, and look what's going on with Balor right now. He's pretty much just a mid-carder at best right now, when he could be a top guy on SmackDown. So yeah, I think it was a mistake to not have the Usos go to Raw, and a mistake to not have Balor go to SmackDown, in my opinion. And then we had the main event segment, which was The Miz and R-Truth. This was entertaining, but the problem here was I was expecting Bryan and Brie to show up. I thought, okay, if there's any chance that R-Truth is going to beat The Miz, it's going to be because of Bryan. So I'm sitting there just waiting for Bryan. I'm not expecting R-Truth to beat Miz without interference. I think one or two things will happen. Either Miz will win clean and then Bryan shows up, or Bryan shows up at the end and R-Truth wins due to the distraction. And it was the latter. It was Bryan and Brie coming out. If they really wanted to distract Miz, they would play Brie mode again. But they played Bryan's music, and R-Truth rolled up Miz, fruit roll up, to pick up the victory. And that's the last that was mentioned of it, the last we saw of R-Truth. He just disappeared. Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega appeared again, trying to take out Bryan and Brie, only for Bryan and Brie to recover and put both of them in simultaneous yes locks as Miz and Maurice watched in just pure disgust. So what is going to happen next week? Could they do like an 8-person tag team match? I mean, that would be my prediction at this point. Or will they just do Bryan and Brie versus Almas and Zelina Vega, which I thought they were going to do this week. So maybe they'll just do that next week and save the 8-person match for the week after Hell in a Cell. I think both matches will probably happen on television over the next couple of weeks. No, James Ellsworth did not show up. He was apparently backstage, but did not appear on the show. Dylan says the Hardy package was good. Maybe he should have asked Randy to shake his hand. Yeah, the Jeff Hardy video package was great. I forgot to mention that. Big G just mentioned it. $2 super chat donation. The Hardy Orton videos. Yeah, I enjoyed those. I especially liked the Jeff Hardy video. I thought that was well done, showing all the crazy things that Hardy has done over the years. So that was SmackDown Live. I think I pretty much covered everything. Fairly good show, but I also felt there was a lot of filler, and it felt like WWE's attitude was, okay, we got Hell in a Cell coming up. We really don't want to advance the storylines too much, so let's just kind of do little things here and there and stretch the show out and just, basically have filler, which is what I thought it was for the most part. There were some fun moments. R-Truth was very entertaining on this show. And I did enjoy the Charlotte Becky segment. I did enjoy the Hardy video package. I'm going to give this show a B-. Maybe very slightly above average, but it was very close to just an average edition of SmackDown. Apparently, okay, is it really New Day versus The Bar at Super Showdown? What is going on here? Why would they even do that? Does that mean Rusev Day is winning, or does that mean we're going to have another rematch from a match at Hell in a Cell? I'm so confused here. So why does The Bar automatically get a tag team title shot when they haven't won the tournament yet? What? You guys are trolling me, right? It's not The Bar versus... I'm going to have to look it up now, because I don't believe you guys. That is like the dumbest thing ever. Why would The Bar just get a title opportunity when they haven't even won the tournament yet? That's just completely random. Trying to look up on here. Super Showdown. I am not seeing anything. Trending news. I see Raw results, Mustafa Ali, 205 Live. Where do you guys get this? Maybe WWE's Twitter? I like how I have to go on Twitter to get the news and not WWE.com. Isn't that like ass backwards? Shouldn't it be like right on the front page of WWE.com? And of course, Twitter's not loading. All right, there we go. All right, let's pull this up here. Okay, I see 205 Live. I'm scrolling down here. 205 Live, 205 Live, 205 Live, 205 Live. Where did you guys see this announcement? I cannot find it here. There's like 100 tweets about 205 Live. Okay, I found something here. All right, wait a minute. First of all, Marcus the God with a $5 super chat donation. What would you do to spice up the tag team division without sending the team to Raw? That's a loaded question. Let me get to that in a minute here. Let me answer, or let me respond to this announcement for Super Showdown. So first of all, we have Billie Kay and Peyton Royce against Naomi and Asuka set for Super Showdown. Okay, so they're going to drag this out for a couple of weeks and not do it at the kickoff, although they still might, for all we know. And wow. Okay, so yeah, the Bar is getting a tag team title shot against the New Day, even though they haven't won the tournament already. What? So they could just lose this tournament. They could be a couple of losers, and then they still get the title opportunity at Super Showdown. What? How does this make any sense? Okay, so how do you improve the tag team division on SmackDown Live? For one thing, you got to give the Usos more mic time. Those guys are great promos. They should be doing some sort of promo, some sort of talking on every show, even if it's just a short little bit. And don't repeat the same matches over and over again. You know, if a team is not competing, let them do a promo, which WWE does do sometimes. Really, it's tough. You know, to be fair, it is tough when you have so many people on the roster right now. It's really tough for guys to break out and really get opportunities. Only so many teams can be pushed, and even the champions, the New Day, were not on this week's show. The Beastmaster with a $2 super chat donation. Find your inner peace, Aaron Shante, hashtag King Jinder. Well, thank you for that, Beastmaster. I appreciate your advice there. Yeah, I'm really not understanding why the Bar is getting a tag team title opportunity when they haven't won. Just doesn't make sense to me. And is this basically giving away? It has to mean that either New Day's retaining against Rusev Day, or the Bar is winning and then losing to the New Day and then getting a rematch, or Bar wins the titles and then New Day gets a rematch. So basically it means New Day, basically it means that Rusev Day, New Day, see, this is all confusing. Basically it means Rusev Day's not going to get past the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Because they've already announced this match. Now I know card's subject to change, but whatever. I don't understand some of these matches that are being announced for the Super Showdown. Just really weird to me. All right, guys. So on that note, I will go ahead and wrap up this edition of NoDQ Live. Actually, hold that thought 1 second. Don't go anywhere. Nelson said, with a $2 super chat donation, who's the hotter Bella twin, Nikki or Brie? Well, they are twins. They do have slight differences, but I would maybe go with Brie slightly. And I think Brie has a more likable personality. Besides the whole drinking thing, I think that she just comes off a little bit more laid back and not so materialistic. But I don't know. Mohammed Hassan with a 99-cent super chat donation. No comment from Mohammed Hassan. By the way, this is the guy who is not a big fan of Roman Reigns. He called in last week when I did the call-in live stream, so check that out. Dylan Folk says Nikki is high maintenance. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. You know, of all of them, I like AJ Lee the best. You know, just wear t-shirt and jeans and not being high maintenance and not being a diva, just kind of being laid back personality. I mean, that's the kind of vibe I get from AJ Lee. So she's always been my favorite of the recent women. One of my favorites. I think CM Punk picked a good one. I think he's got a winner there. He married very well. And Braden says Alexa is the best. Alexa is, you know, like the F, marry, kill. Like, Alexa's definitely the F. I think AJ Lee would be the Mary and kill. I don't know. I don't want to kill anybody, so I'm not going to answer that one. Mohammed Hassan with a $2.79 super chat donation. SmackDown is the A show. No Cena, no Reigns. SmackDown is not the A show, but that could change depending on what happens when SmackDown goes to Fox. The whole thing could definitely change at that time. But until then, Raw's definitely going to be the A show. We'll see what happens, because that next superstar shakeup in April, if Reigns goes to SmackDown, then you know something's up. Nelson Moreno with a $2 super chat donation. Your thoughts on John Cena's new finisher? I did post the video of it. What was it? Some kind of punch, or I don't even know, some kind of strike. I don't remember it, actually, to be perfectly honest with you. I'd have to go and watch the video again. I feel like it's just Cena trolling people, and he knows that it's going to get some people worked up, and he's just having fun. Apparently it's a Dragon Ball reference, which, you know, is over my head. I'm not an anime guy, so I know nothing about that stuff. Lightning Punch, says TJS. Curtis Butler, which brand is Marvel or DC, Raw or SmackDown? I don't really follow comics, so I don't even know how to answer that one. So on that note, I will go ahead and wrap up this edition of NoDQ Live. Make sure you actually hold that thought. Do not close this video yet. Eddie Smith with a $10 super chat donation. Early predictions for the Mixed Match Challenge. All right, real quickly here. I do not think Asuka and Miz are repeating this year, because Asuka's streak is over and there's really no need to protect her. It was Asuka and Miz, right? Or am I messing up here? I think there's a good chance it'll be Team Little Big this year. Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss. Maybe AJ Styles and Charlotte. I think the two favorites right now would be AJ and Charlotte and Team Little Big. And now that Strowman's a heel, you can maybe have him and Alexa just work together as a heel unit and possibly win the whole thing. I could see that match being the finals, actually. I need to see what the actual brackets are. Truth and Carmella, says Dylan. I would say highly unlikely in all likelihood, but hopefully they get past the first round, because I think they'll be one of the highlights of this tournament. And do not sign off yet. Marcus the God with a $5 super chat donation. You guys really want me to go long tonight, so we'll keep going here. Does Charlotte and Becky remind you of Brett and Austin? They did this split screen interview. Yes, it does remind me of that. Back in '96, when Bret Hart was in Calgary, Austin was at the WWE headquarters in Stamford, and they had that little face-off with the split screen. It did remind me a lot of that. And you had Charlotte there, and she's just, you know, fed up with Becky, and Becky's there just, you know, looking angry, same way Steve Austin did. And people are definitely making the comparisons between Becky and Stone Cold. She's kind of got like that Austin vibe to her right now. So maybe that's where WWE is going to go with her. They're just going to make her like the female Stone Cold Steve Austin. And again, the fans were cheering for Becky over Charlotte. There were mixed cheers with boos for Charlotte, but the crowd did do the Becky chant. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting match at Hell in a Cell. San Antonio, Texas. I'm assuming it's going to be a largely pro-Becky crowd. So will WWE just keep Becky as a heel, or will she become a tweener? Will Charlotte go heel? I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, on that note, I will go ahead and wrap up this edition of NoDQ Live. Head over to nodq.com/virtue. If you guys are itching for more, you're watching this live, go over to nodq.com/virtue and check out Virtue's Rage with Virtue and Big G. They'll be talking about Raw and SmackDown. I know Virtue has a lot on his mind. It's free, it's fun, it's a good time, so go check it out over at nodq.com/virtue. That's all I got for tonight. Stay tuned. No DQ video coming up. The No DQ review will be up in the next day or so. Wrestling Trivia Challenge with good mic work, a popular wrestling YouTuber. He will be challenging Greg Cherry this week. Stay tuned for that. Spread the word, spread the love, and I will see you guys next time.